Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds. Welcome back to Ask the Cheeseman. And this is where you can ask all of your questions about home cheese making. Wonderful to see all of you here so far. We've got about, 23, 24 people online. That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic to see you all. Now, just a few housekeeping. Bit of housekeeping. Like housekeeping. We've got shout out to patrons and new YouTube members. So, new patron this week, Sandra Bogdell. Thank you, Sandra, for your kind patronage. And new YouTube members this month, John Thorne and Stephen Goldsworthy. Thank you, gents, for supporting the show financially. And thanks to everybody who supports the show financially, either via Patreon or YouTube memberships. Okay, so the video this week will be Icelandic skier. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. But it's a nice little crossover between yogurt and a cream cheese, kind of, maybe. A little bit. It's a little bit runnier. But very nice cheese. Very tasty indeed. I really did like it. And you'll see that in the video when that comes out. So for all financial members, that will that'll get published for you early preview tonight. And it'll be released sometime Friday, Saturday. Okay. And the other video that I've been working on yesterday was using Milk by Cow. It's a brand over here. It's using a new process called cold pressed raw milk. I just got some footage of the carton. Let's just get that up. And here we go. So it's that's what it looks like. So it's in a 1.5 litre bottle. It's about $6 Australian a bottle. So fairly expensive. Cold pressed raw milk. And it's got a fat content of about 5.1%, which is pretty high, which is really good. It's Jersey milk, so very high in fat naturally anyway. It's unhomogenized, unpasteurized, but apparently this cold pressed process, which I'm trying to get a video of just to add that into something, into a video, and just show how they do it. Anyway, all very cool. So that's cold pressed milk. So back to there. All right, cool. We got a super chat. Fantastic. So that's the kind of milk that I'm using for a cheese. It's just going to be a stirred curd cheddar, so I'll put a video up on that. And my thoughts and how the milk performed during the process. I won't give away any secrets, but it does taste very nice. Jim, super chat. Not the first, but I'll get to the first one in a minute. Jim Jackson says, "Oh yeah, I've made it before. The stream gets going today. Kim and Gavin, I trust you and yours are doing as well as expected." Indeed. Thank you very much, Jim, for your $5 super chat. Alrighty, lots of hellos, but the very first one is Ruth. And Ruth has said, "Hello, Gavin and Kim and World of Curd Nerds. Can't come today, but always watch the replay. Please answer." She's got a question. "My dry jack, about 2 months old, is getting flatter as it ages. Why?" I would think that the moisture content may be a little bit too high. And if you've got a vac packed, then sometimes those high moisture cheeses tend to flatten. Okay, and then is it okay to wax Ubrachio, which is the cow's milk wine dipped cheese? Yes, it is. If the surface is dry, there's no issue waxing that if you think it's drying out a little bit too much. Anyway, Ruth, hope that answers your question. Okay, we've got lots of people on the chat, and we'll get to those as we're going. But the next question is from Lice Dog. Says, Hi, Gavin and Kim. I noticed that my rennet has up to 8% pepsin. Could that be the reason why my cheese has some bitterness? It could be one of the reasons, Dog. One of the reasons is that the cheese hasn't fully gone through proteolysis yet, which is the conversion of the enzymes working on the proteins to increase the flavour of the cheese. You can get rid of bitterness, but usually by letting it age longer, and you'll find that the difference of 2-3 months makes an amazing difference to the taste of the cheese. I've had cheddars that are 3 months old, have a little slight bitterness taste. I've let them age for 6 months, and they're perfect. Really do taste good. But pepsin does tend to add a little bit of bitterness to the cheese. If you're using, say, animal rennet, that also does it too. Pepsin's usually only found in animal rennet, not the vegetarian types, because they usually are manufactured fully by Cheeseman, which is the other part of rennet. Okay. APWL says, should I start my own cheese shop or join the corporate Wisconsin? Lol. Either way of love. Either way of love to make cheese for a living. I think I would like to love. All right. It's up to you. Get experience first. I would actually go and work for a cheese shop first to learn about all the cheeses. No better place than to work on the finished cheeses, or go and ask one of the smaller artisans near you to go and help them out and learn the cheese making process there. Then you'll get a feel for whether it's for you or not. Cheese making is not, I know, in the corporate world, from talking to a few people who do it for a living, it's not an easy thing. The cheese making is only a small part of running a cheese making business. Cleaning takes up a lot of time, as well as a lot of paperwork, and marketing as well. You've got to market your cheese to actually sell it so you can keep making it. It's all very cool. Anyway, Lifestyle also says, also, do you know if I could use the yeast deposit from my homebrew beer in any cheese recipe? No, I strongly advise that you don't use the yeast from your homebrew beer. It creates air pockets in the cheese. Looks like it's early blown, and it's not good for the cheese at all. Cheese doesn't like yeast. Okay, we got Shan Artisan. Hello, how are you? Kim, thank you, darling, for being my moderator today. I should have mentioned that up front. Kim does a wonderful job in the chat and on the channel moderating. Matt, g'day, mate. Colin, I'm doing well, thank you. Matt says, this is a different Matt. Hello, Gavin. How's it cheesing? Pretty good. Andrea says, hi, it's midnight here. I think that's in France, and I have to go. But one question before leaving: do you think a Dornic acid meter is necessary or useful? No, I don't think it's useful for the home cheesemaker. If you're a commercial cheesemaker, then yes, maybe. But a lot of people these days use commercial pH meters to find the acidity of the cheese, of the curd and the whey and all that sort of stuff. So, no, Dornic acid meter has its uses in commercial cheese making, but certainly not home cheese making. If you want to look up what it is, pop over to New England Cheese Making Supply. Actually have them for sale. I don't know how useful they are. Deep South Texas, Larry says, g'day. G'day, mate. How are you? Craig says, good morning, Gavin and Kim. Hope you're well. We're doing fine. Thank you, Craig. And Brian, how can I get my 10% brine feta less salty after the 4 days in the brine? Everything is great, but it's way too salty. Yeah, okay. Brine is, feta is a very salty cheese. That's all there is to it. If you don't like the amount of saltiness, what you can do is soak it in milk for a couple of hours, and then that'll create a reverse salt ion exchange, and the salt will come out a little bit of the feta. So try that. Feta is normally stored in its brine for up to 12 months, and it is salty. That's all there is to it. Chris B says, "Hi Gavin, was picking up some milk the other day and noticed that buffalo milk is $12 per 2 litres. At that price, I'm quite happy to make a donation to the show. Just let me know." Was that from, what was that milk company up in Broadmeadows in Melbourne? Yeah, look, it's that'll be okay. What's Holly doing in the background? That'll be okay, Chris. Holly, what are you doing? Holly, what are you doing? All right, no response from the cheese dog. Anyway, yeah, look, Chris, that'll be okay. I got to figure out where to pick it up from. So if you've got the company name, I can figure something out. Don't usually have a lot of time during the day as we're working, but see if I can get some. Good thing about the made by cow milk was I picked it up at my local supermarket. Anyway, Vern says, greetings, fellow curd nerds. Brian says, by the way, I ordered your recommended Mastering Artisan Cheese Making book. It's great, thanks. Yeah, I like it a lot. It's quite a good book. It's where I got the idea for the stabilized paste, bloomy rind. So that's cool. Robin M. Okay. Of the milk, that is kind. What's that? Happy to make a donation to the show of the milk. Oh, so you're going to buy some milk? Oh, right. Okay, Chris. Now I understand, mate. Yeah, if you've got a couple of liters or a few liters of milk, what makes a good mozzarella? I think about 8 liters. But yeah, it's up to you, mate. I don't mind at all. Okay. Ben Wilson says, cold pressed milk sounds like they squeeze the cows. Does a bit, but I think they actually have this big pressure vessel that they put the milk in the bottles. So they put the milk in the bottles raw, seal them, and all the things they do to them. Then they squish them, and apparently that kills the bacteria, and it's been tested afterwards. So, yeah, cool. Robert Martin says, can you substitute liquid rennet with rennet tablets? What is the difference? Not much of a difference at all. Except usually the strength. So just check the strength. Usually the rennet tablet will say how many litres of milk that it coagulates. So have a look at that first before you go substituting anything. I know that the couple of types of rennet that I have, I've got Fromage 50, which one tablet will coagulate 50 litres of milk, and I've got the Mad Millie IMC 60, which is really low dose. I think one tablet coagulates 4 litres of milk. So very different strengths. So make sure that you check the strength on the packet before you use it. The difference in taste and stuff is negligible. You won't even notice it. They're all made with Cheeseman. So, yeah, no issues at all. What's the fat says salam. Salam to you. Mabrook says, did you see the Formaggio cheesemaker? Yes, I did. I saw it on Kickstarter or whatever it was. And look, I've never used one. It might be good for some people, but it can only take, I think it's about 2 litres of milk. You're not going to make much cheese with it. And it says, it's very misleading in its promotion where it says it can make cheese from start to finish. It also mentions some hard cheeses, which it doesn't make from start to finish. You need to press them. You need to mature them. You need to put them in the right temperature to mature them. Yeah, look, I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed if they do buy it, and it'll sit on the site kitchen bench, sitting there doing nothing. I think it's a lot easier doing it the way that we do it, with pots and stuff like that. It's more relaxing too. However, if the company did decide to send me a Formaggio cheesemaker, I would certainly test it. And if I found it was okay, then I would, say so on the video. If it's not okay, I wouldn't say so on the video. Anyway, cool. Craig says, unfortunately can't stay. Have a great show. Will Kath. Catch it up later, I think. Thanks, Craig. See you, mate. George says, g'day, Gavin. G'day, mate. I've got a question, and it says, why does the humidity matter in your cheese cave if you vacuum the cheese anyway? It doesn't. It doesn't matter whatsoever. It only unless you're making a natural rind cheese and you've got it on a pine board, sitting there in the open. You need to have the cheese fridge humid to the range it says in the recipe. However, if you vacuum pack or you just wax your cheese, you don't need high humidity. If you're using ripening boxes to, encapsulate the mold ripened cheeses, usually you maintain the humidity of the ripening box, not of the cheese cave. So no, it doesn't matter at all, depending on the way that you do it. Andreas says, thanks for the answer. No problems at all, Andreas. Paul says, hi, Gavin. Grew some blue mould on sourdough yeast-free bread. Can I use the mould for Stilton? Indeed, you can. In fact, that's the way that they used to grow it in the old days. Usually they used rye bread, but sourdough bread is fine. If it's a blue-green mould, it is Penicillium roque 40. There are different strains. It'll work. Just scrape some off and put it in your milk, and bingo boingo, you have yourself a blue cheese. Pretty cool stuff. No, nothing hard about cheese making. Thomas says, wax or vacuum seal? It's up to you. If you're environmentally conscious, maybe stay away from the vacuum sealing because it goes through plastic like there's no tomorrow. Mind you, you've got one cheese sitting in there for 12 months. But you can't really reuse. Oops, there we go. Can't really reuse the plastic bag that the stuff was sealed in. I tend to, though, when I cut the wheel of cheese that's been maturing in the bag down into pieces, then I'll put at least one piece, half of the cheese, back in the plastic bag, just clean where the seal area is, and then reseal it, so that works. However, wax you can use over and over and over again. Just need to make sure it's cleaned after it's come off the cheese. I just use a little bit of warm soapy water and just scrub it with my fingers and get the cheesy bits off. Make sure there's no cheese in the wax. And then put it back into your wax pot, and then next time you wax a cheese and melt the wax, it'll all melt with it. So, yeah. The process of using it is the same. It protects the cheese from harmful bacteria and yeasts. So, yeah, there's no difference as far as the maturation process goes. However, with that said, vacuum packing, when you seal a fairly semi-soft cheese, like, say, Havarti, here's a good example. If you vacuum pack that, it tends to flatten because it's a very high moisture cheese. It's probably best to wax that sort of cheese. Same as maybe Gouda and Edam, very soft cheeses. If you vacuum pack them, they tend to squish down because of the change in pressure. Anyway, Maria says, how to make the cheese cave stay at the temperature that the cheese needs. Kim, if you can put the link up to the cheese cave where I explain all that, that would be fantastic. That would help out Maria. Jake says, hi, very new to cheese making. Can you explain the cheese den and what kind of refrigerators you can use? Okay, that same link for Maria will certainly help out Jake. Look, all I use is a dorm fridge or oh, Kim's already done it. Gosh, she's ahead of the ball. Head of the game. That's fantastic. Thank you, Kim. Yeah, so look, I started off, the very first hard cheese I made was a Wensleydale. And because it was winter, I matured it in the linen press, in the cupboard where the linen is. I don't know what everybody else calls it, but that's what I call it. Because it was about 13 degrees Celsius. Didn't need to worry about the humidity because it was in wax. And I matured in there for 3 months, and it was beautiful. So it was the right temperature range. Coolest part of the house. And then I moved on to a wine fridge, one that you can regulate the temperature. It had a glass front door, double glass door, so it's like double glazed. So that worked all right. And then I moved, and then in summer, I found the Australian summers are pretty harsh. I found that it couldn't keep its temperature. It'd drift up to like 20 degrees Celsius on a 35, 40 degree day, and I couldn't control it, and the cheese was starting to sweat. So I had to quickly move over, go and buy a dorm fridge or a bar fridge, the smaller fridges that fit under your kitchen counter. And then I put a external thermostat on that to control the temperature down to 13 degrees Celsius. I've got it set between 11 and 13 is where it usually sits, so that works. So I hope that helps. And Jake says thanks. Okay, cool. Thomas says thanks for all the great info, like always. Making my first cheese this weekend. No drama at all, Thomas. And Matt says, do you have any videos that are coming? Videos coming that are cheese recipes that you are experimenting with. Well, yeah, I suppose the one using the milk by cow was an experiment. I just made a standard stir curd cheddar. Didn't add anything to it like I normally do, but it'll turn out to be a very nice cheese. It's just in the press now. After this show, I'll be just videoing taking it out of the press, air drying it for a few days, and then just go and mature it for 3 months. Just for the taste test, but I'll release the video early. But that's one. I don't have any recipes that I'm trying to manipulate per se. I've got lots and lots of taste tests coming up. I actually do have. Oh, sorry, I should say that I don't. I do. Just looking at my list of videos here. I'm going to experiment with a grana padano style. I've cobbled together a recipe from videos where they show you the factories and stuff like that, but I can't find a recipe per se online for grana padano. I know it's very similar to parmesan, but there are some temperature differences and a little bit of milk difference. Grana padano is made from semi-skim milk, whereas parmesan's a mixture of whole milk and skim milk. A little bit of difference. There's obviously a DPO what's that, designation, protection of origin thing around both those cheeses. Parmesan tends to be more expensive because it's only made in a smaller region, whereas Grana Padano, which is a hard grading cheese as well, is through the whole of north of Italy. I think it's everywhere north of the Po River is Grana Padano country, apparently. Anyway, so that's cool. So that's one I'm going to be experimenting with. I'll call it Grana Padano style, but we'll see how many Italians flame me. They always do when it comes down to that. They do when I do a Parmesan video. Anyway, John, mate, you're late. No cheese for you. That's right. That's the cheese. Very cool. Jared, g'day, mate. How are you? Matt says, what is the largest cheese I've ever made? The most amount of milk I've used is 14 litres. And what did I make? I think I made a Parmesan with that, but that was 14 litres of semi-skimmed milk. It was whole milk and skim milk added together, and it ended up making about a 1.5 kilogram cheese, which is, 3 pounds, roughly. So that's the largest cheese. I'm limited by the pot, so not much I can do about that. The pot size, I've only got a certain sized range hood. That's not a range hood. Space between the stove and the range hood. I can't really get a massive pot. I won't be able to pour the milk in. Yeah. So look, but that's fine for me because there's only so much cheese you can eat. Depends on the size of it. Anyway, but good question. Thanks, Matt. Anane, I think that's how you say it. Can you replace the rennet? Not really. Where it says rennet in cheese, you have to use rennet. Otherwise, you don't get the same cheese. So, no, a lot of people tend to think they can use an acid. There's two ways of coagulating milk. There's acid set, but that makes a different style of cheese. And there's rennet set, which also makes a different style of cheese. The reason they have rennet in there is to coagulate the milk, but when the enzymes, the chymosin enzyme helps break down some of the proteins in the milk, in the cheese as it matures, so it adds to some of the flavour as well. So no, you can't omit it. Leonardo says, hi there, everyone. You said Gouda tends to flatten on vacuuming. I have one here just air drying and can't wax it. Can you tell me something better to do than vacuum it? You can naturally develop the rind. However, Goudas are usually waxed as they come out of the as they're air dried, and then they bung them into the cheese cave. I have seen some Goudas that are natural rind. Um, Look, there's different settings on the vacuum packing machine things. You can set it at a light vacuum pack, so as long as it sucks the air out, but doesn't really just suck the heck out of the bag. So you could try that. I have vacuum packed Gouda before, and that's okay. It's a little bit firmer than what Havarti is, so give it a go. It's not going to flatten too much. Okay. Vern says, what milk fat percentage for Parmesan style? So for Parmesan style, usually it's about, I think it's 2.1 to 2.5. For Grana Padano, I've got it here somewhere. Where is it? The milk percentage, it's 2.5% semi-skimmed for Grana Padano. But Parmesan is a little bit lighter on the fat. Hope that answered your question. Matt says, when you double a recipe, do you also double the rennet and calcium chloride along with the other ingredients? Indeed you do, Matt. If you don't, your milk won't set. Jim says, can you make a video on how to make burrata? Good suggestion. Why not? I can do that. All right, it's on the list, but because it's on the list doesn't mean it's going to make it to a video, but I've got it on the list. John says, for the beer mash question, make some yeast yogurt once, never again. Not even Vegemite could rank up next to that yeasty smell. Even Limburger would be clean socks, almost like a durian, which is a fruit from Southeast Asia, which really stinks. I know. Yeah, don't use yeast. Joel says, rennet can be replaced with calf stomach. Well, technically that is rennet. Rennet in the lining of the calf stomach. Make sure it's the fourth calf stomach. It's called the rennet bag. You could probably get one from your butcher. If they're a fully serviced butcher and do all the stuff there, if they get all the frozen carcasses into the butchery, then you got no chance of getting one. But yeah, you could always go and ask. Olivia says, hello, Gavin. Hello, Olivia. George says, yes, make burrata, please. Okay, it's on the list. George says, great idea. Jim, yes, it is. Ryan, Gavin, I'm not a fan of the ethical side of using animal rennet. Do you see any difference between animal and vegetable rennet? No, I don't. They both work the same. Some purists say there's a flavour difference. I've been using vegetarian rennet, whether that be fermented or microbial rennet. I use both, and they're both vegetarian source, so they're fine. And I have no issues with my cheese. My cheese tastes lovely, so no issues whatsoever. Ben says, you don't have to use animal-based rennet. You can use one of the vegetarian rennets, indeed, if that's the issue. John says, maybe if you made it, then let the flies get to it for the maggot cheese. Then that is a possibility. Yeah, no. Casu marzu, don't think so. I wouldn't eat it in a pink fit. Even if I was in Sicily and I was drunk off my head, I still wouldn't eat casu marzu. Thank you very much. Anyway, Ben also says, pretty sure he uses vegetable rennets on all his cheeses. Indeed, I do. Benji Timbers, I really want to get into cheese making space. Do you have any suggestions on what cheese I can start with? Kim's put some link there, Benji. She's put a link there to how to make whey ricotta at home, how to make paneer at home. So there's a couple of good suggestions from the lovely moderator. Go and check those out. Nice and easy. Maybe the whole milk ricotta would be better, Kim, if you can find that one. Because to make whey ricotta, you have to have made a cheese beforehand. So if you can find that link, love, that would be excellent. Okay. Kevin says, in your little bear video, what kind of maturation box did you use? It looks like about 5-inch wide and about 18 inches, and the piece in size looks quite high off the base. Little bear video. Oh, I don't. I bought it. It was a cake stand for cupcakes. I think you mean the big long white one, Kevin. You'll have to prompt me on that one. I don't have the video in front of me, and it had a white stand that was up off the floor of the thing. I just found it simple to use because, and I've still got one or two of them that I don't use so much these days because I find that the wide red one that I use works fine. It's high enough off. As long as you turn them every couple of days, then they're fine and they don't expel too much whey. And then it's when you have the bloomy rinds sitting in whey, that's when it destroys the surface of the cheese. You're just going to make sure you're checking enough. Thanks for that link, Kim. I appreciate it. So yeah, it was a cupcake Tupperware container type thing that had this white rack in it, and then I just sat the cheese on the white rack. They matured great, so no problems. That was the very first Camembert video. I think they were in that as well. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. It says about 18 inches. Yeah, that'll be the long one. Yeah. So go and see if you can find something like that. They sell them in here in Australia. I think Daycore, which is an Australian plastic manufacturer, might sell them. Patrick Egan says, hi, Gavin. Hi, Patrick. How are you? George says, how much sweet whey do I need to make a worthwhile ricotta salata? Depends on how many solids. So when I made the ricotta salata, that was what about the size of this cup-ish. I used, it was about 8 litres of sheep's milk whey, and that had a lot of solids in it, and it probably made one about the size of that cup. For cow's milk, I wouldn't use anything less than, say, 12 litres of whey. Remembering that to make whey ricotta, you have to make it within 3 hours of making the cheese because the ricotta gets too acidic and won't give you all those proteins. It's a lot of mistakes that people make when making whey ricotta. You've got to make it straight away. But yeah, George, I hope that works for you. Hover says, I love you, bud. Thanks, Hover. Kay, I think that's how you say it. Nice, Kay. Thanks. Erin says, I'm thinking of doing a washed curd or a washed rind cheese using a pickle juice brine. Okay. FYI, all my cheeses are goat, as I raise dairy goats, Sherv, Camembert style, and Tome so far. Yeah, that probably work, Aaron. If you to do a washed rind, might be a bit salty. The brine for pickles is about 20%, 20 to 26% saturation, so might be a bit high for cheese. Yeah, washed rind cheese would probably be okay. Maybe do one of the ones with brevibacterial linens in them, and use that as the wipe. You'll get a little bit of flavour, especially if it's got lots of herbs and spices in the juice, the pickle juice. That might work. Patrick says, have I ever made feta? Have I made feta? Yes, indeed I have. Kim's put some links up there. How to make real Greek feta, which is 70% sheep's milk, 30% goat's milk. That works. And she's put another link up there, making feta using goat's milk and a taste test. So hopefully that helps you out there, Patrick. Ken says, hi, Gavin. If using raw cow's milk, would you rather wait till winter when the butter fat increases? Will store-bought milk change during the different seasons? I'll answer your second question first. Store-bought milk doesn't change that much. But it depends on what the animals are being fed on. If they're fed on grass, that's the best time to make cheese with the milk from animals. Grass-fed milk is far superior than, say, silage-fed animals. Silage does tend to there's a bacteria, which I can't remember the name of, slips me. But it causes early blown cheese when cows or goats are fed on silage, which is a form of fermented grass that they use in winter when they're overwintering in colder climates. It is better to use the milk when it's grass fed. Store-bought milk doesn't change because they standardise the milk. What they do is they take all the milk from all the dairies, hundreds of them, up to lots, wherever the producer gets their milk from. And then they skim off and standardise the fat content for all the milk, and it all tastes the same. Okay. Anaine says, thanks about the blue cheese. Is the temperature between 10 to 15 because here it is hot, or should I wait for winter in Algeria? Yeah, you can make it in winter, but if you've got the funds to get a small fridge, and put an external thermostat on it, that's how I mature all of my stuff. And Kim would have shown that video earlier on the stream. Kevin says, you put 3 camemberts in a row at 10 centimetres. I was assuming it was 18 inches long. Yeah, it's about that. Kevin, it's the big white one. It's about that big, if that helps. But yeah, it's like I said, it's a cake container. Anyway, for cupcakes. Patrick says, thanks, Kim. No problems. Thanks, Kim. George says, sorry to always storm you with questions, Gav. I'm very thankful for your help. You brought me to the art of cheese making. No problems, George. Happy. That's what the channel's for. That's what these chats are for helping out everybody who wants to make cheese. When I was first, I'll go into a story. When I was first making cheese, I had nowhere to ask. Even there's a cheese forum, which is long dead, I think. Not many people use it at all. Even getting questions answered on the cheese forum, I think it's cheeseforum.org, was almost impossible because they really didn't like new cheesemakers. I don't know, maybe it was just my perception, but that's what it seemed like to me. But there was nowhere to ask questions, and that was one of the reasons I thought, heck, that's why I'm going to make the show. People have all these questions. I was getting at least 10 emails a day. That's kind of dampened down a little bit, but since I started the show, a lot of people just come and ask questions here on the show. So, George, that's why I do it. Patrick Egan says, is it possible to make feta from cow's milk? And quick as a flash, Kim has come up with a video for how to make feta with cow's milk. Well done, Kim. And she's deleted something from BWG, whoever that person is. Okay, no more questions at the moment, but I'll wait for a little bit. Did you know that I, for 2, maybe 3 weekends in a row now, I've tried to smoke cheese, and every day it's been raining and overcast. So I'm waiting for the first sunny day that we're going to have on a weekend before I smoke my cheese, cold smoke. I've got 3 pieces of cheese to smoke, a piece of marbled cheddar that I made yonks ago, some jalapeno cheddar, and some double Gloucester that's nearly 2 years old. So I'm going to do in the video, I've got it in my mind how I'm going to do it. I'm going to taste the cheese first to see what it tastes like. And then I'm going to go and smoke it, and then I'm going to taste it afterwards. So a good comparison, I hope. So that'll be coming out as soon as I get the first sunny day that's not a work day. So we'll do that. Also, I've got some whey in the fridge left over from the cheese that I made yesterday, which was just a stirred curd cheddar, but with that cold pressed raw milk. So I'm going to be making a video called 10 Ways with Whey. I can't remember who suggested it, but it was a very good suggestion. It was in one of the streams. So 10 Ways with Whey. Hopefully I'll get 10 out of it. I've already got 3 or 4 that I've already made videos about, so I'll incorporate those into the video as well. But 10 Ways for Whey, I think that'll be pretty cool. Anyway, so there's a couple that I'm playing with, plus a swagger taste test. I did a master of the cheese fridge the other day, and checked, and had a little checklist and saw what cheeses were in there. And so many were mature that I had forgotten about them. I turn them every week. I don't know how I forget about them, but I did. Anyway, cool. Moving right along, there's some more questions now, so I'll stop jabbering. Stephanie says, good evening. Good evening, Stephanie. Patrick says, is there a difference between the taste of goat's milk feta and cow's milk feta? Yes, goat is much stronger, and that's what Ben has said. Well done, Ben, for chiming in there. Matt says, good idea for the videos. Thanks, mate. Zaid says, I've got pink spots on my cheddar cheese. What do I do with it? I would wash it with a brine solution, simple brine solution. Pink mold doesn't tend to come off. It actually gets ingrained in. It's not harmful to you. It'll be fine. If you really don't like it, cut it out a little bit. Scrape it. It'll come off. It's a surface mold. But yeah, be more selective with your sanitization at the start of the process. That's usually where it comes from. Paul Taylor says, hi, Gavin and Kim. I'm so used to watching Ask the Cheeseman after the event that I forgot to say hello in the chat. Hello, Paul. Matt, I look forward to those. Yep, cool. Kevin says, if using liquid smoke, at what point do you add it to the milk? All right, now I've made one liquid smoke cheese, and that was the hickory smoked Gouda, I think. Yes, it was a Gouda. I added the liquid smoke to the milk before I added the calcium chloride and the rennet. So after acidification. So added the starter culture. Sorry, brought the milk up to temperature. Added the starter culture. Added the smoky flavour. Then added the calcium chloride and the rennet. That's where you add it. If you're going to add it. It wasn't strong enough when I added. I can't remember how much I added. Just go and have a look at that video if Kim can find the link to the hickory smoked flavoured Gouda. But go and have a look at that video, Kevin. Stephanie says, what do you think of blue brain cheese? Huh? Blue vein cheese? That was in the video I linked on your Facebook page. I haven't looked at my Facebook page for ages. Do I have time? Let's have a look. Where are we? What time is it? 12 past. 1 second. Looking at Little Green Cheese. Facebook page. Looking at. Trying to find all of the stuff. God, Facebook's slow. Where's the visitors' posts? I can't see it. Is there something I'm doing wrong? No, Facebook's as slow as a wet week, so I won't continue on there. But I will have a look and let you know in the next stream. But thanks, Stephanie. Dog says, for smoking, it's nice to vacuum pack it and let it in the cheese cave for a month. Oh, that's a good idea. Infuse all the flavours in there. Nice one. Khalid says, have you ever thought of making cheese with pig's milk? No, it's pretty hard to catch those little piggies. And it's not commercially available. So no, sorry. LS, you are good. How's life? Pretty good. George says, I'm investing in a cheese fridge. It's not going to bother with the humidity because a vac pack is easier. A thermostat sounds difficult to set up. Is the variable temperature of a normal fridge a risk? Yeah, it is. So, George, thermostat is simple to set up. All you do is plug your fridge into the socket on the external thermostat, and then plug that in the wall, and take the little probey thing and put it into the fridge. That detects the temperature of the fridge. And on the thermostat itself, there's a couple of buttons, usually, and you set the temperature. Piece of cake. Not hard to set up at all. Daniela says, how do you feel about halloumi cheese? I love how buttery it is. I love the halloumi cheese. It is very good. In fact, I've got some videos on halloumi, and Kim, if you can pull up one of the halloumi videos, and Daniela will get a kick out of that. John says, haha, I'm going to wait a long time for rain as Kim will be eating it before you get to the smoker. No, she's banned from the cheese. She doesn't go in there because um, it depends on the cheese I make, of course, whether it smells or not. If it's a if it's a blue cheese that I've got in there or a washed rind cheese, she avoids it like the plague. So no chance of Kim going into the cheese fridge and stealing the cheese. George says, could you use ricotta in American cheeses? Ooh, now I don't know if it'd melt. Might do. I haven't tried it, so no, I can't tell. Erin says, Khalid, pigs are notoriously difficult to milk. Ask me how I know. Nice. Cool. George says, Erin, how? I think Erin might. You're gonna have to come clean now. John says, might as well milk an ostrich or an emu instead of a pig. Yeah, it's about the same. Robert says, thank you, Gavin, for your informational content and your cheesy wisdom. Honestly, I like the sound of your voice as well. You bring me peace in troubled times. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. I didn't know that I had such a nice voice. But anyway, it's deep. Sounds very much like Barry White, I suppose. Oh, yeah. Anyway, Ken said, thank you. I did not realise or think about silage-fed cows. Your best smoked cheese will be on a 45-degree Fahrenheit day or colder. Thanks again. 45 degrees. What the heck is that? Convert 45 Fahrenheit to Celsius. 7 degrees? I don't think it's freezing outside. I don't think so. Anyway, Stephanie says, someone once made pig cheese, and I think the problem is that the pigs don't lactate a lot, so it's very expensive to make. Indeed. Thanks, Stephanie. Cadell, I think, play on words, says hello. G'day, mate. Stephanie says, if I remember correctly, the cheese didn't taste that great either. Well, there you go. Patrick says you do have a calming voice. Thank you, Patrick. And Kim has put up the link for halloumi. I can't remember who that was for, but that was for... Can't remember. Doesn't matter. But there's the link to halloumi. Thank you very much, Kim. I appreciate it. Kevin says, just watched movie and you look like Russell Crowe. Do you know? That's a funny thing, you know. My wife's late mother, bless her, yeah, said I used to look like Rusty. Oh, that's what we call him over here. Anyway, Russell Crowe, yes. Apparently I do look a little bit like Russell Crowe, but I can't see the resemblance personally. Kim just said, when I first met Gavin in the UK, I loved his voice. Oh, that's what won you over, was it, honey? All right. Very cool. All right. So I think that'll do. If we've got some more questions, let's see. Stephanie says, I do use the videos to fall asleep sometimes. It's so calming. Oh, my goodness. It's almost like what's it called? ASMR. But more of a sleep story. I'll have to do a sleep story. I'll find a cheese story somewhere and I'll read it. And everybody can use my sleepy cheese story to go to sleep. How cool will that be? Let us know if you think that's a good idea in the chat. Do a sleep story about cheese. All right, cool. Zaid says, I set my fridge on 10 degrees Celsius. Is it good for my cheddar cheese? Because I don't have a cheese fridge. Yes, it is. If you can set it at 10 degrees Celsius, your normal kitchen fridge, obviously take all the other stuff out of it because that'll all go off. But yeah, if you can set a fridge at 10 degrees without having to use an external thermostat, then good on you, and that'll work fine. Cheddar, between 10 to 13 degrees. Maybe mature it a little bit longer, but taste it as you go along. Anyway, Kim says, yes, it was. Smiley face. Nice. Crazy Beehive says, have you made Munster? Yes, I have. And Kim will find the link for Munster there somewhere. I think I called them Little Monsters or something like that. I've made 2 versions of Munster. I'm not sure, but anyway, have a look. Maria says, thank you for having these sessions. Very kind of you. No problems at all, Maria. Stephanie says, oh my God, yes, a sleep cheese story. All right, I'll have to put it down. A sleep cheese story. All right, consider it done. I'll do that one evening. I'll have to find a cheese story that I'll just read out of a book. Anyway, pretty cool. Thanks, Kim, for the petite Munster. Very good, and that'll help out Crazy Beehive. All right, cool. I think we've got 10 minutes to go. If there's no further questions, then we'll call it a wrap. So, Kimmy, if you want to start rolling the links, that will be fantastic. Pardon me, and we'll get going. Alrighty. Kim says she would listen to that too, as in the cheese sleep story. Okay. All right. It's going to get done. It's on the list, but it's on the top of the list now. Livestock say, how long can we keep bee linens in the freezer? Well, I've still got some that still works, and it's been going for like 2 years. As long as you keep the packet sealed, livestock. I tend to use, I don't know if you do, these little yellow sample containers. They're sterile. We send them out with all our cheese cultures, all the ones that can be open or have to be teared open, because we find they last better in these than the silver packets. So use one of those to store your cultures in the freezer. They last a lot longer. If they start to go a bit gluggy, throw them away. They're done. Trayan, I think that's how you say it. Hi, Gavin. Can I make baker's cheese? Baker's cheese? Huh? What's baker's cheese? Farmer's cheese, maybe? With farmer's choice milk without forcing the coagulation with rennet. No, you won't be able to. If you're going to use any sort of acid, it just won't work. You'll have to use rennet. And you can get vegetarian rennet. There's no problems at all. Crazy Beehive says, have you ever ate a wheel of cheese in one day? Can't say I have. Maybe a camembert. Maybe I've eaten an entire camembert once. Whew, I'll tell you what, it was great. Anyway, Kim's given the wrap up because I asked her to. That would be fantastic. If you want to visit the store, then pop over to littlegreenworkshops.com.au. There it is there. There's all my cheesy bits. littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Can't miss it. We ship internationally and send it everywhere. In fact, recently we've been sending lots of stuff to the US and to Nigeria, of all places. And no, it wasn't to a Nigerian prince. It was to a very nice man. Okay, if you want to support us, you can hit the join button below, or you can go to patreon.com/greeninggavin, which is the link to my Patreon page. John says, pig cheese will probably taste like smoked bacon. Very funny. Okay, merch. Don't forget you can pick up. Oh, I've got some new merch on today. We've got my little cheesy mouse that Kim drew. That actually features in the book, Keep Calm and Make Cheese, on one of the pages. Can't remember the page number. But the cheesy mouse is there. That's actually a picture. I'll show you properly. It's a picture of me as a mouse with a glass of red wine and some cheese. But yeah, very cool. Thanks to Kim for drawing that for me. Very good. But yeah, you can pick those T-shirts up over at teespring.com/store/CheesemanTV. There's a link there. Very cool. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate your time, and without all of your questions, there would be no show. So thank you very much for turning up every Wednesday. And some of you even turn up on Saturday. So Wednesday, Saturday morning, same time, same channel. We'll see you then. So for now, see you later, Curd Nerds, and we'll see you next show, next on Saturday. All right. Bye for now.